which has to do with, do we ever feel like we're getting somewhere only to find out that there's another step in the process? Or said more simply,
well, so a lot of us think that there's a place to get to in life, right? So a lot of us were really fixated on that destination. And like what Nathan said, like, oh, once I get that raise at my job, that will handle it. Then I'll be good. But the reality is what tends to happen in life is you get the raise, and then what's there is the next thing to deal with. See, we always want it to be handled. We get there and then it's handled.
That's right. That's right. We think that if we get there, it's going to alleviate everything, only to find out and that there's actually something else to deal with. And I think a really great example for us, which if you're not an entrepreneur, this might not resonate for you, but you can put it inside of another example, is in the entrepreneur space. I know a lot of people that are in the conversation for raising capital, and people think if I raise this capital, it's going to have things work out. And we're raising capital, but we're not disillusioned that things are going to be worked out. We actually know that once we raise this capital, it's actually, we're going to have an obligation. Our lives are going to be tied to that money, and that we have to be responsible for it. And it's the same thing. It's like, actually nothing gets worked out. There's just another thing. Well, you get the ring, you get engaged. You're not done there. There's another thing. Now you have to be responsible for marriage.
Now the difference is how it lives for you. You see, some people get the ring and then they're like, oh crap, now I'm responsible. But some people get the ring and they go, oh my God, now I get to create what I want, which can be part of being responsible. So it depends a lot on how it lives for you. And this is what we're talking about here, is instead of being so attached to how, I guess, the outcome, right? Instead of being attached to getting somewhere, can you actually fall in love with the journey that it takes to get there? Because the reality is you're never going to be done. Life is never handled. That's what Nathan said, you know, right now, the next thing to get done is to raise the money. But as soon as that's done, then there'll be how to use the money. And then as soon as that's done, there'll be how do we grow the next thing? And how do we be responsible for the next thing? And then how do we how do we grow our culture as our business is growing? And that, for some people, each one of those steps really lives as like, oh no, like not another responsibility. And it could live for you as, wow, another opportunity.
That's right. That's right. And I think as we're going through this process, we're realizing, because, you know, last week we had a great week and we were like, wow, everything's working out. This looks good. And then this week we're dealing with personalities and we're coming up against some walls and we're negotiating multiple deals, large deals simultaneously. It's taking more energy than we'd like. We would hope that things could go quicker. We would hope that we just wish it could just be where we see it is in our mind's eye. But you know what? It seldom is that way, because ultimately we create it in conversation between us, but then we have to take it out into the world, and the marketplace has to validate our ideas, or it gives us the feedback that we have to go back and rethink our ideas so that way we can have them actually work. And we ask ourselves, are we more committed to having it our way? Are we more committed to being right about the way we want to have it go? Are we more committed to having it work? Because it works when it works for everyone. And we can't just force the outcome and just have it be our way. And I think a lot of people, especially on the political front, it's like, it's my way or the highway. And it's like, you know, that's not how the world works. The world works when it works for everyone. That includes people in dialogue. That includes people in their concerns. That includes people in their standing and their position and what they want to create for themselves.
And I think a lot of that lives in being open to that things aren't handled. You see, when things are handled, they're finite, they're finished. You don't look at them anymore. You put them in a box, right? You put it on a shelf. That's done. But that's not how life really works. Life is constantly evolving, constantly. If you have it be constantly evolving, there's constantly new opportunities to create and to restore and to complete things, but only if you're living in that is an opportunity for you. Most people are dealing with that step of life as, I just can't wait till this is done so that I can relax from all the stuff I have to handle.
That's it. And, you know, comfort is an illusion. I'm not saying we shouldn't rest and rejuvenate. I had to rest this weekend. I make sure that, because I'm not productive. If I'm stressed out, I actually lose productivity. I can't force myself. But comfort isn't an eternal state. We're not trying to get there so we could settle our grave in comfort. We just want to be rejuvenating ourselves so we can go back into the conversation and performance and continue to exercise the work of art that is the expression of our lives, which for us happens to be in business. But there's no comfort as a destination. It's just a tool to recharge ourselves. So that way, and we want to bring Zen, we want to bring a peaceful way of being into all of our modes of operation in our business and our conversation. So we're not out there in performance, but forcing performance, but we're out there in grace and we're in a flow performing.
And so if you're interested in that type of performance, and the performance that is just it's self-inspired, it comes from within you, because it's not somewhere to get to, it's actually an expression of who you are and what you're doing. If you're interested in that type of performance and being part of a group of people that are interested in that type of performance, then you should join us tonight at 7 o'clock on our mastermind call.
So the way this works is we do every other week, we have an intro call, and then on the other weeks, we have a business training call. Tonight's business training. So we're going to be talking about what our businesses are up to. What is the language? Because it's all about, you might only have a couple of moments to really land what you're about. So really empowering the language, speaking about the value of what you can provide someone. And then, and creating clarity and teams around our initiatives and projects and partnerships, because we really have partnerships is what makes things work. So building partnerships across different communities and spaces and networks. So that's tonight, and then the intro is next Tuesday. So we're going to put a link in the comment thread. Please attend tonight or next week. If you've never attended, we encourage you to be a part of the intro. And we're excited to create win-win possibilities for you and for your network and across our network.
And just so you know, because we don't ever have things handled, there's always more stuff to take on. And it's not a burden. It's a huge opportunity. So we can't wait to see you all tonight.
Thanks, Eli. Well said. Bye, everyone.